She looked at me and said, "Oh, you're black." Yeah, that happened. It was one of those weird jobs where it was the first time that I did a job that in an unconventional location, very unusual. On the confirmation thing, he said cafe. So I was thinking maybe, it even crossed my mind, maybe the person was actually wanting to learn to be, to know how to be a barista or whatever, because it was more the nature of the job and the location did not match who requested for the job. So I just thought maybe it was an error, or maybe, you know how some people have the buildings on top of the thing. So I go to the location, like I always try to be early and everything, looked around, but I just couldn't find like exactly where. So I just ended up just going into this cafe. The number that was on there wasn't going through. My agency weren't picking up at the time. And let me just go and check. The address is on here. So I went in there and saw the is it baristas they call them? Doing his thing. I was like, oh, are you expecting a sign language interpreter? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And then pointed at someone in the corner of the room. I was like, oh, okay. So I went right up to them because I didn't see my interaction with them. And when I got there, because I'm still confused, like this is kind of like towards the early stages of like my career and like freelancing and everything. I'm like, okay, so we're doing this here, this public place. Okay, we're doing this then. I went up to her and got her attention because she was like, doing stuff on her phone. Got her attention, and then I realized that okay, this is who I'm interpreting for. This is the deaf person. And I introduced myself like, hey, hi, I'm your interpreter for today and everything. I introduced my name. And like when I was just going, oh, when I just said I was the interpreter, she looked shocked, like, oh. And the next thing that came out of her mouth was like, oh, you're black. So I'm still like thrown off by the comment, like, I'm black. Like the last I check, I've always been black in my head. Like this is the conversation I was going in my head. Like, did she just ask me that? Like what? Like, huh? And like, oh, you're black. It felt like a long time. Like I had this full-on dialogue in my head. And she went on to, when I still trying to process it, she went on to say, oh, I've never worked with a black interpreter before. So okay, I thought, okay, cue now, Nene, now let her show us some vibe. Let's tell her how we roll. I said, oh, to be an honor to be your first black interpreter. And her face just went, like, like you could just like, ugh, that kind of like feeling. And in that interaction, the main officer came around and just came and said, oh, sorry, I'm late. I was like, I was trying to da 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 da, like whatever. And then we just sat down. Now check this out. This is the irony of the thing. The officer who's going to be like liaising with her, guess what? She's black too. So I'm there like we didn't have, because of the nature and everything, and because she was rushing, I was ready to get in there, whatever. There was no debrief or like introducing myself officially. She just knew that, okay, that's a client and I'm the interpreter. Let's go. Let's start talking. Let's start doing her thing. And I couldn't just say, oh, can I just have a word? It was just awkward, you know what I mean? And I'm still like in that new phase. So there was no way I could then say, oh, can I just tell you what's just happened? Or just like, then I just let it flow. Let's go with the flow. So she's already screwing up, like, oh my gosh, this black person is going to be interpreting for me. And then the officer just carried on with her thing and started asking questions. And you could see her going like, And it's one of those things, like instead of like freely expressing, or was just like, it's just side hands, like, oof, whatever, like still not believing that a black person is interpreting, which I found very weird. So they fled and came into London. I'm London based. So they were outside London. They're from that area and they came down this way. So I was just like, doing my thing, smiling, now knowing that this person is not cool with me. The officer doesn't know that. They're like screwing up. Anyway, we managed to get through to the end of the assignment. No, I mean it was awkward, but you couldn't tell the awkwardness. Like the officer coming in would have been able to, you can just tell like there was this like just straight out giving. So she left, and then I told the the officer that this was my experience before you walked in, just right up before you came in. This is what, and she was like, what? She said, what? Oh, okay. I'm not like noticed or nothing transpired or whatever in her end. She didn't see any difference. And you start thinking, oh, it's all in my head on misreading this thing. The babe said, look, you like, I've not worked with one. And when you now told her be an honor and then she screwed up, like seriously. I let it lie, let it flow, and went up. However, I told the agency the experience, okay, this person, like the interaction and blah blah blah, and just let it go. Like, and I was just shocked. Then I spoke to other colleagues, like, you guys, like, has anyone like no, like, whoa, I've experienced it this way and blah blah blah. Fast forward the next time I saw this lady. Another scenario. Now we're visiting a home. I guess the last time, because she is in a space that is like, when you're fleeing, you only have a small space. So you have a little child and then you in this boxed up place. I guess that's why we went to see in the car. But the officer wanted to see where she's staying and see how we can support and all those things. And oh my goodness, walking in there felt like I've just seen her naked, like just bare. And it was just the awkwardness and like the look. And it was just, you could just see that she wasn't comfortable. And she was answering the questions, she was doing the thing, but she wasn't being present. You can see she was on edge and everything. And this is the deal. We do not know who we are interpreting for. Certain agencies don't tell you. One, because of data protection. Two, because I don't know what else, like data protection for one. And two, because we used to have names before, and all of a sudden we just stopped having names. And that was the reason they mainly gave us. And I found out that this particular agency had tiers of jobs where the contracts the organizations or companies will take on there. If you just want a basic rate, you don't know who your interpreter is, and blah blah blah. We'll provide you interpreters, but if you want to start having preference or who you want to interpret for you, that's an extra charge. Like, I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently this agency does that. Like, if you want preference, then, but this organization did not buy that higher tier. So there wasn't a way to choose or prefer someone. So I'm just hallucinating here. Maybe she had a preferred person she wanted to work with her. And because of the nature of the contract, you can't have your preferred person. And then you're now having me who's black, and maybe she has a thing with black people. And now it's like, can you see what's going on here? Anyway, did that job, was on ease. I was like, okay, you know what? If I see this kind of booking again, I'll just be marking in my mental load, like jobs here, this location, we're not coming back here. We're not doing this. Like, I can't, like, look, I'd rather go where I'm wanted and valued and needed than someone who's like screwing. So I would just avoid location. And now it's like they've moved to a different way and a different borough, which I did not know. And there was a meeting happening. And guess what? Who's there? She is there. So I went into this place and she now had an advocate. As soon as she clocked it was me, she had like a deaf advocate, an advocate. She whispered and stuff like that. That one now came like, okay, now I want to be, I'm doing my role here. The last time you interpreted for her, she said you did not interpret for her properly. And she's like, oh my gosh, really? That I did not. When someone is not properly looking at you or someone already has a bias against you, how I like, you see what's going on here? Yeah, that happened. So she said that. So how awkward is that assignment going to be? But you know what? We listen, we don't judge. We just let it flow. And just like now, it feels like you're on edge now. People are watching you. So now I'm now interpreting for not just her and for the dead advocate as well. And I'm like checking in, like, yeah, how we doing? Yes, I'm getting it. Yes, yes, yes. At the end of the thing, yes, we good. The advocate had nothing to say. There was no like, oh yeah, I didn't sign that one properly, or did that, or did. So can you see now there wasn't anything to say, okay, this is the case. We then move on. And so the complaint happened. So now I'm very on edge. Like I look, I don't have I'm not a drama person. I don't do drama. I don't need to justify if you have your preference, go for it. I advocate for that, whatever that is. If you have a bias about my kind of people like me, that's on you. You're missing out on vibes. Okay. Like, to me, it was just kind of like, look, I can't be bothered energy that I was like at that point. Again, relay this to the agency. This is what's going on. This is how, like, whatever. Everything is cool. We're fine. Again, you don't know who you're interpreting for. However, I started noticing and started finding ways, especially if it's a hospital booking, I would somewhat know the end numbers of their we call them it's not hospital, but the NHS numbers. Like I would clock in like, okay, when I see like, oh, this end 4 digit, me and you were not flowing anymore. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. And sometimes, even when the request happens, you don't get that until after the fact. And then it's another, oh no, yeah. Moving on, yet again, they've been moved to another location and another agency, another department. And there we go again. Oh, here we are. Like, we've seen her again. And she sees me and it's like, you know how you're like, hey, la, 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 la. And you see someone like, they just drain your energy. I was draining her. Can you imagine? I was draining her energy. She saw me and she just went, okay, all right. And guess what? She's now heavily pregnant again. And she, like, you know how, I don't know if you know, but oh my gosh, my laptop's about to die. I need to keep. It wasn't charged. One sec. Let's just make sure so we're not having to redo this because I don't do this again. If you get to this part, let me know on the comment section that, oh my gosh, yes, we're still live. Tell me we're still live. All right. So this is so now I'm seeing that in a whole different location again, a different hospital and different, whatnot. And now we have to go through this newborn thing where we take your history, they take to know about you, your baby, or your previous like the whole history of you and the babies and you know, your lineage. Like, has anybody had this or this one have that? All that full information. So when her energy zapped and we now got into the room and she was already on edge because she's made that complaint, nothing happened. She's done this, nothing happened. Like everything's not working. So I'm sitting next to the midwife, right? She's opposite, but she's facing the window. She's not even looking properly at me. You know how you kind of like, you can see me, but I'm not looking at you, so I can see what you're saying, so I can just give you the one-liners and this. This is an official report or like history about you, this pregnancy, previous pregnancies, everything to help get the care you need to support you in this pregnancy. And at the end of this, what tends to happen now is, as the interpreter, you have to give your name and your ID in case anything. So imagine we now go through this thing. So this is her sitting facing the window. We're here and you're there looking at the window and then you're using one eye to then use this hand. Oh yeah, da, 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 da. And then you have like, what are you saying? What is that? And it's just, so I just told the lady, you can see she's not like, I'm signing and speaking like I'm not fully getting what she's saying because she's not really interacting with me. So the midwife's not like, okay, we really need you to let us know, blah blah blah. Did their bit. Slight move. And then it was just for a minute, one question, we got the full thing and we went back to like the side eye and the incomplete signs. And look, from the get-go, you saw me, you didn't like me, you've made an attempt to complain, and then this official thing, and then at the end, you want me to put my name and number against you? Baby, it ain't happening. So I said to the lady, as you can see, it's still very awkward. The information you're needing, I'm not getting it properly. And you'll be expecting me to give you my name and number. For this reason, I'm going to have to pull out because I cannot say that I have fully interpreted for this patient because they're not giving the eye contact, and there's been history, there's been a situation, and I just want to make sure everything is cool. So even if, yes, I'm freelance, I'm happy to fulfill my you not signing or not being paid for this, because rather that than getting into deeper trouble. And the midwife was like, and by the way, I was saying this and signing at the same time. So she's, even with the side eye, she's seeing what I'm saying. I'm saying, and like said, so when I said I was gonna pull out, she was shocked. Like, how did, like, you know, that look, she didn't say it, but the look, I can tell. How dare you say you're pulling out, not interpreting this? That was the look I had. She didn't say anything, she just like, and then just carried on looking on the side. And the midwife was like, yeah, I fully understand. And like, you know, so I was about to pack my thing. I was going to ask her, do you want to sign my thing? She said, I've done the job. Oh, bring a thing. I'll sign it for you. You offered. I didn't ask. She offered. She's like, I fully understand. And I understand where you're coming from and everything. The midwife was very nice and understanding. But I had to protect myself. You can't, like, not everyone's going to be happy. Even if you did everything right. Even if you followed the way things are. First of all, we're humans, we're human beings. People don't relate. See our fingers, they're not equal. So not everyone's going to like you. And you have to be okay with not everyone being okay with you. You just have to accept that fact. No matter how much you do good, there's always going to be someone who's, oh, God, her again, her voice, oh, like, can you see what, like, there's going to be that. It's up to you now to see if that would affect you, or like think like, oh, I'm too much. And then you deem it like, no, baby, shine bright like a shining star. Like, let it flow. Her perception about me and how she saw me, and then thinking that, you know, there was something, the old me would have been like, oh, please, like, can you look properly so that I can make sure I'm signing for you, so that no, I'm excusing myself. And the midwife understood, and I left because I was not going to be put myself in that situation. And then I left. What I did was, and again, kept the agency in the loop that this is what. And this is a funny thing. This agency wasn't the same. You know, I've been through like a couple of different agencies with this person, because different boroughs have contracts with different people. So I had to like tell them history and story of what's going on. I had to like document it and say this is the whole thing, in case they complain, in case someone comes and said stuff. I can get reference from this agency. They can like whatever. I was ready to give receipts and to show why I am pulling out of this, because it's not happening. It is not happening. I have done too much work to get this right for someone to then come and like deem it. No way. I left. I gave them that information. I did that stuff. And it's like, fine, okay, thank you for letting us know. And at least the midwife signed, so it's okay, would process the payment. If anything, would let you know. Nothing happened. No one said anything. No one reached out. No one, like, there was nothing. Okay, fair enough. We moved on. Life goes on. Years later. For some reason, there was another job. So this time I got books for another social worker kind of like role. And it was going to be me at home. The social worker is going to visit the patient with the laptop and then get onto the thing before I go. I'm in. Her job was running over, running over again. And she couldn't make it. She's like, oh, can you stay on? Like, I mean, you booked me for 2 hours. The time is still there. If there's anything, we can always negotiate, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Finally got to the location, finally sat down, opened her laptop, and then turned the thing around. And then it's her. She now went and looked into the screen and saw me, and she just went away. And I could just, I'm picturing her doing this, like, I don't want her, I don't want her. And now the officer is like looking like, I really need to have this thing done. And now you don't want this person. It's like, so I felt sorry for her. She's like, that one's there saying, I don't want her. Because now what she can do, because I walked out on her and said, I'm not doing this. So now every time she saw me, it's like, I don't want to use her. And fair enough. You don't want me. That's okay. And before I would be like trying to do the work to justify not, like, I freed myself to like, okay, who am I going to see here? What's the thing? Because I know my conscience is clear. I have peace of mind. Whatever you have or you're feeling or whatever impression that you have now accumulated because of my skin is on you. I have nothing against you. And now this officer is there looking like, okay. She's there trying to make out what this person is saying, waving like, oh, she doesn't. I'm like, yeah, we've got history. I said to the lady, but this is not the place and time, but that's she doesn't want my services, and that's okay with me. Gotta go. Or she said, okay, I guess this is not gonna happen. I'm like, yeah, it's not going to, because she doesn't want me. And that's it. And now, because the nature of my work, I'm done going to far places and traveling and stuff like that. So I'm on the other side of the river and they're on the other side. So the chances of me meeting them or interpreting for them or whatever will be rare, except if they now eventually move down this way, that maybe that might be a thing. But I'm not gonna let someone or something like make me feel a different way or make me now feel anxious of like, no, we're not doing that. We've gone past that level of feeling that we don't have a voice or we can't say pull out from it. Like if it's about the money, like look, I lose it out. I lose out. I'll make it out. I believe in abundance. There's more work. There's more opportunity, and that would flow. So her constantly, and this is the thing. My conscience is clear, right? But if you have that burning in your heart that you don't want this person for one reason, God knows, just because I look the way I look. So the one question I ask now, whenever someone reacts that tries to like own it on me, I ask myself, is this mine to carry? Or is it theirs? Why am I carrying someone else's thing? It's not mine to carry. I have a free conscience. I've done everything according to book. I've done my part. So it's not mine to carry. If she wants to keep carrying that and holding off that, okay, she's going to see me or is that going to, whatever, that's on, yeah, on them. Yeah. And that question just sets me free. It just makes me free. It's not mine to carry. I've done everything in my powers to make sure I'm doing things right. So it's now on her or them or whoever. I free myself. The many other colleagues that could do the same thing and she's cool with, it's not mine to carry. I am free. That's how I see it. Because sometimes you can't do it. You can do everything right. If like you cross the T's, you dot the I's, you say everything, you do it right, and still there'll still be someone who would not choose you, who would not want you. And it has nothing to do with your worth. That's the thing. I left that when she did that, and that officer now it's like, oh my gosh, now this person has a different impression. You feel like you just want to word vomit, like the whole history of the whole interaction. It's like, you know what? I know my worth. I don't have to justify it. I don't have to explain and re-explain. We move, right? Because that's on them to carry. That's on them, not mine. Not mine, right? It's on them. I know if you want to like figure out what patterns are showing up for you and how to make sure that you're not being a shrinking, you're not letting people pleasing or whatever, the free interpreter audit is live. It'll be on the description box. Go check it out. Figure out what's that thing that is, what patterns is showing up for you so that you can then start doing the work to like clock it and let it flow. That also will be in the description box below, right? Because I'm Nene. We do this every single day. Remember that your voice matters and it is your time to use it. Bye for now.